everybody, and welcome. It's another rendition of the Sports Report. I am here. It is your host, Captain Bourne. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to like and subscribe below. All brand new episode of the 4th and 1 podcast, all the words spelled out, is out now. It was a great episode. We previewed the Big 12. Ollie Gordon gets a shout out. In the same episode, Robert says the Big 12 is going to be mid at best and then predicts that 3 teams will either finish 12-0 or 11-1. So not sure how that's mid, but we get into that. So just go check that out, please. And thank you. Share with your family and friends. However, we are not here for that. You are here for some sports over the last week. We will get into that. Most importantly, the NBA. I'll get you caught up on what's been going on in the NBA Finals, on what's been happening in the Stanley Cup Finals, and we will move on from there. So let's get into it. Alrighty, that wasn't very loud. I'll turn that up. All right, so we all know that the Dallas Mavericks are down 0-2 in this series to the Boston Celtics. Game 3 was in Dallas. That took place on Wednesday. Well, it went as the first 2 games went the Boston Celtics way. Jaylen Brown had 30 points. He's been the MVP of this series. He's taken it personally. He was left off the All-NBA team. He took it personally. He had 30 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. Jason Tatum had 31.6 rebounds, 5 assists. Boston had a 21-point lead that was cut to 3 midway through the fourth quarter by Dallas, behind 27 points from Luka Doncic and 35 points from Kyrie Irving. However, they only got 6 points from Daniel Gafford and 2 points from Derrick Jones Jr., and that was really the difference. 106-99, that's the final score. Dallas is now in a 3-0 hole as they face elimination tonight on their home floor. I will say this, Luka Doncic has come under much scrutiny for how he's playing defense, or should I say how he's not been playing defense, which is little effort. He has the highest percentage of blow-by rates. That means guys are just blowing right by him. He has no shot on defense. They're taking advantage of him. He actually fouled out in Game 3. He has more career foul outs than NBA final wins. Craziness. So Game 3 is tonight, Friday. That's June 14th. I will be back on an all-new episode of Monday, where Monday will either be Game 5 back in Boston, or the Celtics, the best team in all of the NBA during the regular season, will have wrapped this up in 4 games. So tune in Monday for an all-new episode to see what happened. Alrighty, let's go over to the Lord Stanley Cup, where it's kind of much of the same. Game 2 was in I'm trying to get it. Oh my goodness. I'm trying to get it to open. Here we go. So Game 2 was on Monday night. It was in Florida. Florida already leading 1-0 there. Mattis Ekholm got things started in a positive direction for the Edmonton Oilers with an assist 11 minutes into the first period to put Edmonton up 1-0. And then it was all Florida. 1 in the second, 3 in the third, 2 by Evan Rodriguez in the third period. Florida goes on to win 4-1. They take a 2-0 lead, and they then go on the road to Edmonton for Game 3 to try to force them to a brink of elimination. But Edmonton tries to hold serve in Game 3. Well, I will say this. Edmonton did not hold serve in Game 3. Sam Reinhart got things started for Florida in the first period. At the very end of the first period, I should say, 1-0. Warren Fogle tied things up in the second for Edmonton. Then Vladimir Tarasenko got things started, 2-1. Sam Bennett, 3-1. Alexander Barkov, 4-1. Philip Borberg made it 4-2. Ryan McLeod made it 3-4 for Edmonton, but the rally falls short there. So Florida on the brink of a sweep. They were last year's Stanley Cup runner-ups. They are this year's leading contender, up 3-0 against Edmonton. Game number 5 is tomorrow night, Saturday. That is 8 p.m. on NBC. So the Stanley Cup playoffs on ESPN, the NBA Finals on ABC, both could be sweeps, which apparently that is massive financial blow for these networks, because these network market that they at least go 6 games. If they don't go 6 games, they have to pay back and fill then those time slots to whoever they paid for them. So this is a massive blow for ESPN if both of these series end in 4 games. Alrighty, let's do a check-in on the MLB standings. However, first, I just want to say rest in peace to Jerry West. I think I covered this in Monday's episode, but if I didn't, I forget what I covered in every episode. I really should look. Let's look live while I'm doing the sports report, because that is very, very professional. Well, I didn't put it in there if I did, but RIP to the logo, Jerry West. I think we did cover this in an all-new episode of the Fourth One podcast, so go take a listen to that. But Jerry West passed away at the age of 86. He was instrumental in the start of the Lakers dynasty in the 80s. He helped shape the Golden State dynasty of the early 2000s or mid-2010s, I should say. He helped start the Clippers sort of rise to stardom there. He even most recently he went from one of the greatest NBA final players of all time. He has the most points in NBA Finals history. He's the only player to lose an NBA Finals but still win the MVP, to being a 3-time executive of the year. He was elected to the Basketball Hall of Fame class of 1980. So RIP to the logo. He will be forever remembered. One of the all-time greats, definitely ahead of his time. So RIP to the logo. But let's tune into the MLB standings, and we will start in the American League, where the New York Yankees are hot. However, they lost last night. They're 7-3 in their last 10. 2.5 game lead over the Orioles, who are also 7-3 in their last 10. 13 games back from the Yankees sit the Boston Red Sox, who won 2 straight, 5-5 in their last 10. 14.5 games back are the Toronto Blue Jays. 15 back are the Tampa Bay Rays. In the Central, the Cleveland Guardians are 43-23. 5 games ahead of the Royals. 7.5 games ahead of the Twins. 11 games ahead of the Detroit Tigers. And 27 games ahead of the worst team in baseball with 18 wins are sit the Chicago White Sox. In the West, the Seattle Mariners sit 5.5 games ahead of the Houston Texans, sit 8 games ahead of the Astros, 12.5 games ahead of the Angels, and 14 games ahead of the Oakland Athletics. The Boston Red Sox just won 2 straight against the Philadelphia Phillies, who were the best team in baseball up until that happened. They are sit 46-22, 9 games ahead of the Braves, 14 ahead of the Nationals, 15.5 ahead of the Mets, 23 games ahead of the Miami Marlins. In the Central, the Milwaukee Brewers sit at 40-28, 6.5 ahead of the Cardinals, 7 games ahead of the Reds, 7.5 against the Cubs, 8 games ahead of the Pirates. They're in that division. Out west, the Los Angeles Dodgers sit at 42-28, 6 games ahead of the Pirates, 7.5 ahead of the Giants, 8.5 ahead of the Diamondbacks, 17 games ahead of the Colorado Rockies. Why I want to replace the word ahead with the word against, I don't know. It's very frustrating to me. The wildcard standings, if the season ended today, we're coming up on the halfway point, by the way. In another month, it's the All-Star break, and that's the halfway point of baseball. Orioles have the top spot, 8.5 games ahead of the Royals, who sit 2.5 games ahead of the Twins, who sit 2 games ahead of the Red Sox. So Twins, Royals, Orioles would all make the American League playoffs. In the National League, Braves sit 3.5 ahead of the Padres, who sit 1.5 ahead of both the Giants and the Cardinals, who sit a half game ahead of the Reds, 1 game ahead of the Cubs. Diamondbacks, half game ahead, 1.5 games ahead of the Pirates and Nationals, 3 games ahead of the New York Mets. So literally every team but the Colorado Rockies and the Miami Marlins are in the NL playoff hunt. And that'll do it for this week's rendition of the 10-Minute Sports Report. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Like and subscribe below. Tell me what I can do better. Happy Friday. Have a great week. Until next time, know God loves you. May God bless you. Wash those hands, you filthy animals. Peace out.